He was going to a circumcised people whose very essence is that circumcision, with an uncircumcised son, and then you go to them and say, oh, I am your brother, I am your kinsman, look at me, yes, Adonai sent me. And you think they will listen to you? Hello, I am so happy to be back, and today I'm going to be talking about 4 men and their relationships with their sons. Yes, and these men are David, King David, yes, him exactly, Moses, Eli, and the prophet Samuel. Wait, you will see what I'm trying to bring out. Okay, let us start with David. David, I like that guy. I like him. Amazing guy, you know, God's friend, God's beloved. But David had flaws. Yes, some that we know, but there are some that we might not actually really pay attention to. And that is about his relationship with his sons. Let us start with Amnon. You know what Amnon did? Yes, the same Amnon that raped Tamar, his sister. You know, the cunning way with his friend, you know, plotting and planning, and then committing that great atrocity. You know, something that in that time, if it was somebody else that had done it, they probably had stoned him to death or beheaded him or something. I'm very sure the king would have taken a very drastic action. But what did David do when he learned about his son raping his daughter? You know, the Bible said that David was very, very angry, but he did not punish Amnon. Why? Because he was his firstborn son and he really, really loved him. Like how? How? Like that? How will you overlook something so terrible that your son had done just because he's your firstborn and because you loved him? And what was the consequence? We know what happened. Absalom killed Amnon at the end. And David, at the end of the day, he lost the son that committed the atrocity. And he also lost another son because since that time, Absalom started running helter-skelter. You know, he went away, he ran away somewhere. By the time he came back, the relationship between with his father David was so strained that he even he started plotting how to take over the kingship from his father behind his back, turning the people against the king, his father. And you know, I just looked at it, a man that loved God so much. David was a wonderful king. He was a great friend to his friends, you know, he was a great husband, a great lover to his women. But his sons, he was so busy with kingship, he was so busy ruling the people that he did not even really have time for his sons. Because, you know, when you look at how they turned out, like how everything turned out to them, you begin to wonder, David, what happened? How were you so busy with your job as a king that you did not have time for your sons? How are you so busy? I am asking you now, how are you so busy with your ministry that you do not have time for your sons? How is it that you do not know that the fatherhood is a ministry on its own? What about the ministry of taking care of your sons? What about the ministry of being there for them? What about the ministry of answering all their questions? Are you so busy with your career? You know, you say, now I have to provide for the family. They have to eat. I'm doing all of this because of them. Everything I'm doing because of them. Are you doing all these things because of them that you forget that at the end of the day, it is not just about the money. It is not just about the provision. It's not just about the fact that they went to the best schools. Because if you know the things that are happening in some of all these schools, that you are paying huge sums to send your children to, if you know the kind of things happening there, you will weep, because it is not just about these things. You need to be present. You need to be a present father. Otherwise, the consequences will be so terrible, so horrible. Like, look at what David went through in the hands of Absalom when Absalom came back to try to take the kingship by force. Look at what he went through losing one son. Look at what Tamar went through, the daughter, having to stay unmarried all the days of her life in shame. Why? Because her father failed to take action. Because I kept thinking about it. David could have just told Amnon, you know what, you did this. Give him some kind of punishment and tell him you must marry her. Yes, you must marry her. If you have defied her, you must marry her. Because Tamar was telling Amnon, just tell her father to let you marry me. He will let you marry me. But he said no. David could have done a lot of things, but he did not. And you begin to wonder why. Like, your majesty, why? Like, what happened? What happened? Why did you do this? Why did you allow this to happen? Anyway, that's that. Now let's talk about number 2, Moses. I'm very sure you are thinking, what did Moses do? Like, Moses, oh wow, he did something. He did. Now let us look at Exodus 4. Let's start from Exodus 4. After Moses fled from Egypt, everything that happened now, the whole story now. If you don't know, go and read it. It's in the book of Exodus. Start from Exodus 1, you will know what happened. But I'm going to start my own from Exodus 4. Yes, Moses fled from Egypt. Then he married his wife Zipporah, the Midianites. The Midianites are not Hebrews. Moses is Hebrew. And one thing you should notice is that Moses knew that he was Hebrew. He knew even before he left Egypt. That was why he killed the Egyptian that was beating up the Hebrew person. He was trying to avenge his kinsman. Yes, that was what happened. So the Bible said that after God had spoken to Moses, go and deliver my people. This is the word you should speak. And then Moses agreed, and he was going with his wife Zipporah and their 2 sons. And then suddenly the Lord sought to kill him. And his wife now quickly circumcised one of their sons and threw the foreskin at his the Bible said she touched his feet with it and said, now you are the husband of blood to me. And then Moses became well. The Lord left him and it was okay. You begin to wonder, like, my Lord, what happened? Like, you sent this man on an errand. He has decided to go. He has taken his wife and his children and they're on the way to go, and you attacked him. Like, why, sir? Why did you attack him? Why do you want to kill him? When I read that passage, I was just asking a lot of questions. And then it occurred to me, Moses was going to meet the people of Israel. He was going to speak with them. These people, remember, they would have heard the story even if they did not really know him. But I'm very sure they know him because the time difference was not so long since when he left Egypt and when he had to go back. They knew that he was raised in an Egyptian household. But even though they knew that he was Hebrew, so his identity was shaky. It was as if, okay, he was one leg in, one leg out. Yet this same Moses was going to go there and tell them that the Lord Adonai said, I should come and take you out of Egypt. And he was going to go to them with an uncircumcised son. Listen, he was going to a circumcised people whose very essence is that circumcision, with an uncircumcised son. And then you go to them and say, oh, I am your brother, I am your kinsman. Look at me, yes, Adonai sent me. And you think they will listen to you? Like, these things. How have you failed? Okay, maybe he was so busy with his life, like he was like, I'm not with my people anymore. I'm just tired of my life, everything. Why do I have to do it? I'm with a Midianite. They don't even take this thing serious. But at that moment when he had agreed that, okay, I am going to go, he was, you would think that he would set his household in order. He will look at himself and say, okay, anything that will put a stain on me, anything that will hinder this assignment, anything that will stand in the way of these people listening to me, I have to deal with it. But he did not. He just carried his bag, everything, and he just started going. And then I'm very sure God was like, hello, bro, where are you going? Like, the moment you get before this, they will not even listen to you. Because you tell them this and that, you say, okay, I am your own, I am your person, like God sent me, this is his word, these are all the miracles. And then they look at your sons and they're like, you came here with an uncircumcised son. He's more or less like a Gentile. He's more or less like the Egyptians. Oh, so that means you are still an Egyptian right inside of you, because what is the meaning of this? Why? And then the Lord attacked him, because I'm very sure God was telling him that, guy, like, no, you cannot do this. You will hinder this assignment. These people will not listen to you. And if they don't listen to you, no matter what you do there, you cannot take them. Will you force them out? Will you drag them? And then God attacked him. Another thing that could have happened in Egypt was the fact that the people that were to be saved were the circumcised. That means that even after the people had agreed and Moses had done everything God had instructed him to do, and the people were ready to leave, and the angel comes and everything, his sons would not have been qualified to live with the people of God. It was more or less like they were not the people of God. Can you imagine? Like your own son, you, the leader of the people that God has given this great assignment to take the people out of Egypt, your sons are not qualified to go with them. Like, hello sir, what is going on here? And then thank God that his wife even knew that the son should be circumcised. That means Moses had mentioned it to her at one point or another. He just did not do it. What if she did not know? That means Moses would have died. And I'm very sure he probably would have been thinking that God wouldn't have killed him. I mean, he's the one that would do that job. Hello, there are 1 million people that God can use at any point in time. Aaron was there. Yes, God chose Moses, but Moses could have died. Because God is a God of covenant. He is a God of covenant. And that covenant, the covenant of circumcision, is a very powerful one. Like, that was the very essence. That was I think that was like what should I call it? The symbol of the covenant that God made with Abraham. So it was very, very important to God. And God is a God of covenant. He does not go against his word. So if you are thinking that Moses would have died, it's a lie. Thank God that his wife quickly did what she did, and then God saved him that way. And then you begin to imagine, is it okay? Of course, it's how it is for so many people out there. It is the mother that will do everything, the mother that is doing this, the wife that will do that, the wife that will do this and that and that. Because a lot of men don't even know what they're supposed to do for their sons. They're just like, okay, I'm just the provider. Let me just go and do this. Oh, I have my ministry to take care of. I have my job, the career, so that we can live a good life, But you're not present. Imagine, you know the funniest thing was that God did not attack the son. God attacked the father. He couldn't have fulfilled the what God had placed in his hands, because at the end of the day, that son that was uncircumcised would have been like a barrier to the assignments that God had given him. And that is what a lot of people are doing today, and they don't even know that they are grooming barriers. They are building up barriers to what God has given them. Do you think that you will do all this work, you will win so many souls, you will win souls, you do so many amazing things, you make impact all around the world, and you go before God and you say, God, thank you, look at me, see what I've been able to do. And then God will look at you and say, yes, you have done well. Where is your son? I be like, my son, where? And God, you know how they say that in heaven there will be camera, like there will be like maybe like big televisions or billboards where God will now show people like things on earth, the things they've done. And then you look in the television or whatever, the bill, and you are looking at all the people that you have saved, all the lives that you have impacted. They are doing amazingly well. But when you now see your son, you see your son somewhere, maybe smoking in a cult group. You see your son struggling with an addiction. You see your son not able to find himself. You see your son not confused. You see your son depressed, suicidal. You see your son confused about his identity, about who he is. Why? Because even though you were able to do so much for other people, you were not able to do for your son, because you felt, no, we go to church together. We pray together in the morning. But are you really there? Think about it. Are you really present? Are you present? Really? Are you present? Or you are just a father that no, I will rub off on him. He cannot be under my roof, or he cannot bear my name and he will not turn out well. No, I don't think it works like that. So go back and look at it again. Go back and ask questions. Go back and be there, just like you are there for people, just like you are giving your all to your career, to your ministry, to everything. Give your all to the ministry of fatherhood. And the third person, Eli. Yes, the prophet Eli. Eli's story is very sad. Like, it really hurts me, because in his case with his sons, how his sons they were priests too, just like him, the lineage of priests, but they were greedy, they were ungodly, they were thieves, they were adulterous men. They were men who were taking advantage of the people. The people will bring sacrifice to the temple before the Lord, and then they will take the fattest, like even God, even God, like the Almighty God that has been helping them, blessing them. They've not even offered the sacrifice. He has not accepted it. You're taking the fattest part of it. Like, who are you, sir? Who are you? What are you? You know, and it's so sad because in Eli's case, Eli warned them. He called them. It was almost as if he was pleading that, please don't destroy this work. Don't destroy the work you have given me. Don't you have the fear of God? But you know, he was telling them, but you know, when you look at it again, you begin to wonder, when did Eli begin to warn them? Was it when they had started doing it, so it had become so terrible that even the people were beginning to complain that what kind of priest is it? Even the people were afraid to bring sacrifices before the Lord, because they know that when they come, they know the things they would experience in the hands of the Hophni and Phinehas's servants. They know what they will experience. And then the people were afraid to even come to the temple. And you begin to wonder, that was that when Eli began to warn them? Or had they been warning them right from when they were young, when they were growing up? Well, we never really know. But we just know that the Bible recorded that he actually called them. He warned them, but they did not listen. And God was angry. God was very angry with him. And when God came to Eli, what God told him, God did not tell him that, I will destroy your sons. I'll do this. God was using all of you. Not only his sons, but even Eli and his generations to come. Look at what the actions of those men. Look at what it did to the entire generation. If you read that part where the book of 1 Samuel, when God was laying out all those things that the way he was going to deal with Eli's family and generation, you will almost weep for him. Like I could almost feel him sitting down there, having served God all his life, giving his all to God, having served God diligently, and at the end of his days, he sits down and he's hearing those things, and God is telling him that you have failed me. You have failed me with your sons. I will deal with you. I will deal with your generations. That means it must have been even more terrible than the Bible told us. Like I was just trying to imagine the pain in Eli's heart listening to all those things. And you know one thing that happened after God told him that his two sons would die like the same day, and it actually happened. It was so heartbreaking, because I kept thinking, this is a man that, the Bible said he judged Israel for 40 years. He judged the people. He did well by them. He helped them to know the Lord. He helped them to serve the Lord. But his sons, like, what could have happened? Where did he go wrong? And anything could have happened, really. But I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Somebody that served God his whole life, and his sons did something that brought curses on the entire generations upon generations to come. Instantly, the robe of priesthood was ripped from that family, from that generation, and it was handed over to Samuel. And now let's talk about Samuel. The prophet Samuel was when Samuel was retiring, and he went before, I love that part so much. And he went before the people. He asked them, whose donkey did I take by force? Did I steal? And the people said, no, you did not steal our donkey. Whose wife did I take by force? No, you did not take anything. Like, he was just saying so many things, and the people were saying, no, Samuel, you are blameless. You have never harmed us. You have never done us evil. You have been faithful. You have been good. And Samuel was that confident for him to be able to ask all of Israel that, who have I offended? Like, if I have done this thing to you, come and tell me. Come out and say it before the people. And the people were saying it that, Samuel, we can testify from today till next year that you are a good man. You have not taken anything unjustly from us. You have been so good to us. But then the Bible talked about Samuel's sons. That Samuel's sons, they did not follow his ways. They were greedy, they were ungodly. And because of Samuel's sons, the people, when Samuel was retiring and his sons were supposed to take over from him, the people said, no, your sons cannot take over from you, because they have not followed your ways. They are not like you. These ones will rip us of everything. These ones they will frustrate our existence. We do not want. Rather, because there is no one to take over from you, give us a king. And God was angry. And someone was like, how dare you ask for a king? Is God not king enough for you? Yes, they were supposed to have judges, like priests over them, but there was no priest to take over. Why? Because even though Samuel was a very good priest, he had nobody that could take over from him and be as good as he was for the people. That is sad. Very, very sad. He had how people will say that you are not successful until your successor is successful. Samuel did not even have any successor to drop. He did not even have anyone to take over from him. And because of that, the people requested for a king. And God was so angry. And God said, see, you people, you will see shege. You asked for a king. Am I not king enough for you? And you begin to think, is it really the people's fault? Or is it Samuel's fault? Or maybe it's not even Samuel's fault. He probably tried his best, because what else could he do? I don't know. I was not there. The Bible did not really say so much about it, but you begin to wonder, Samuel, you were a good man. You did your work well. God was so pleased with you. The people were so pleased with you. But your sons did not turn out well. What happened? Where did you go wrong? Where did you go wrong with your sons, to the extent that they could not even take over as priests? The people rejected them. Even God, I'm very sure even God rejected them, to the extent that the people now asked for a king, something that God did not want them to do, because of something that you had failed at. The consequences. See, I am just trying to just help us see the consequences. The consequences in all these things are just so terrible, because at the end of the day, things are not just, black and white. I am calling us forth today. Be present. Please be present in the lives of your sons. Boys need their fathers. Boys need their men. I have seen so many things, but I just think that we should go back to the Bible and study again. Study the Bible again. I am going to try to do another one to showcase how the fathers that were present, how their sons turned out, to show us how those things were. Okay, let's not even go far. Look at Abraham. Look at how Abraham was very, very present for Isaac, to the extent that he even helped him choose a wife. To the extent that he was like, Isaac, you're not going to just marry a Canaan woman. I am going to help you. He was there. He helped him to know the Lord. He showed him the way. And I think that we have to get to that place, like fathers have to get to that place where they're not just thinking, your mother will do this. No, you are a man. He is a man, that he is a boy that will grow up to be a man. You should be there for him. You should be present for your sons. We should not just leave boys to just grow up alone and say, well, my own father was not there and I'm okay. The world has changed. Things are not as they were when you were growing up. Things are not like they were before. These days, there are a lot of boys that, do you know the things that some of these boys see online? Do you know the things that they see in school? A lot of them are confused about their identities because of something they've read, and they're thinking, am I a boy or a girl? Imagine that then you hear some parents to say, oh, suddenly their sons just came back and told them that I think that I'm not really a boy. I'm just, I just have born into the body of a boy, but actually in my heart I am a girl, and I think right now I want to now change and be my original self. And they hear that the parents are like, oh my God, when did this happen? It did not just happen. They did not sleep and wake up and discover that, oh, this thing it did not just come upon them. No, it is good. It happened gradually. It happened. It was happening right under your nose and you did not know. So this episode today, it is quite long, but I just wanted you to see. Please be present. Please be present, because most of the times, a lot of fathers are not even there to see the consequences of their absence. They are not there to see the consequences of their, maybe unintentional nonchalance. But, from now on, it becomes intentional, because you have to know that you have to be there. If there is a place where you fell, you have to help your sons not to fall. You have to help them to overcome those things that you struggled with. You have to help them so that their own journey will not be so difficult. And it's not always about money. It's not always about education. It's about you being there. It's about you being a shoulder for them to lean on. It's about you being able to give them the words of wisdom. It's about you being able to encourage them. Don't be this, the macho father that is untouchable. Don't be this person that they look at and they're like, my dad is so strong, like, oh God, how can I be like him? Even though you are not all that strong. Yes, you are strong, but you are also vulnerable. You have your own vulnerabilities. You have to let them know that you are not like this Iron Man. You have to let them know that they can lean on you. You have to help your sons. You have to help your boys. So I am calling you onto you today. Fathers, please be present. Please be present. Your boys need you. You might say, oh, my son is very independent. Your boys need you. Take them out. Take them out, talk, gist, be there for them, ask them about how things are going. Let them ask you any questions. Let your sons be able to ask you any question whatsoever. Let them be able to tell you anything, not just their mother. Because at the end of the day, that is how people say, when you are now old and gray, and then you now need the friendship of your children so much, but they can't just sit with you and tell you everything because they're not used to it. Like, since when? And you're wondering, they only tell their mother everything. They only want to spend time with their mother. It's because they're not used to spending time with you. Yes, you've done so much for them, but they're just not used to it. All of a sudden, you now want to be their friend. From where to where? All of a sudden, you want them to be telling you everything about their lives when you are now old and they are now grown-ups and they're like, hello, we don't have that kind of relationship. We're like, oh, but I'm their father. You just don't have that kind of relationship because at the end of the day, they are humans. And it is way easier for you to, talk about these things with somebody that you are used to, somebody that you feel will get you, will understand you. So I am calling out fathers, please be your son's best friends. Be there for them, help them. So that when you stand before God at the end of your days, you will proudly say that, yes, God, I did well in the ministry of fatherhood. I did not just do well in the ministry of, in my career, or the ministry of soul winning, or any other ministry that you have been called into, any other job you have been called into. I did well with my sons. And you will be so happy to know that you tried your best. And then that is even when you should even be able to pray to God about your sons, to say, God, help me to be a father like you. You should pray to God and say, God, help me to nurture my sons, to bring up my sons in your ways, like you have been a father to me. Help me to be a father like you. And I am praying for you today that God will help you. God will help you to be a present father. I know that your jobs are so demanding. I know you are busy. I know you are also going through so many things that you probably did not have anybody to talk to growing up. You probably still do not have anybody to talk to now. But I am praying for you that God will help you to be everything to your son that maybe your father could not be to you. And God will help you to be able to manage your life and family well, to have a balanced life, to have a good relationship with your sons. God will help you to be able to heal from anything that you're suffering from, so that you can help your sons to heal from anything that they encounter as they move on. And I pray that at the end of your days, you will be proud to know that this ministry of fatherhood, yes, fatherhood is a ministry. You did it well, and you made God proud, and you made your sons proud. But most of all, you made yourself proud. It is well with you. Have a great, 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 amazing week. Bye.